We're back up. Sorry about that. Temporary downtime. We're at Pasadena Unified School District for a meeting where parents of autistic child are going to ask them to explain systematic abuse, getting kicked, being locked in rooms. Thanks for staying on. You're live on inLeague Press. Again, we're at Pasadena Unified School District. I'm standing with parents. We're going to confront the school board about the systematic abuse and bullying of their child. Stay tuned. We'll be going in momentarily.
Where's your big... Look up. Do the eyes. There we go. That's the one. Up that way. Okay, now he's I don't have a like whatever it's called. You got another one on that side? There you go. Here. Where did you get this? Hi.
Try to plug it. But a togo stick. Doing a march around. From 1953. I can hear it. You bring any more flyers on? Surprised to see that they're actually not missing. Most people don't grab those things. So,
And you will have 2 minutes, sir. And then we will take.
thank you.
And then we will have the group from PHS will have 10 minutes. So, Mr. Nichols, you will have to. Is he here? All right. Look, first podium, sir. So maybe it's the students can come up with you and sit in these front seats so we don't have the delay when in terms of people moving forward. Okay. All right, Mr. Nichols, sir, you have 2 minutes and you can sit up front. That would be great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm here today basically in defense of my name, how I was basketball coach. I was hired December 6th, and I basically took over the job. In the first game of the season, I was clear to coach the game. When I took over the program, it was in bad shape in regards to not only just necessity, but in terms of how the program was being run. When I took over, I was under the impression that they had the senior group, the junior group, which would be seniors this coming year, have been under 6 different coaches in their 3-year time at PHS. Some of that is about inadequacy, but if you look deeper into it, there's more to it. And basically what I want is I want to stand up for what's right. I'm a father of 5 girls myself. I took the job. I was gainfully employed at the Behavioral Intervention Unit with Redondo Unified School District. I was also the JV coach over there with the stipend that I was receiving as the JV softball coach at Redondo, doubled what I made in the stipend for PHS. I don't coach for the money. I coach for the children. And basically what happened was I was conspired against because I was standing up for what was right. The school in itself, I can't tell you much about because I didn't interact much. I didn't like the vibe of the school itself. But within athletics, as a female coach, I was left to be pushed aside or to be considered. When I took over, the girls were playing in boys' uniforms. We had 1 ball in the entire program. When I left, $197 in the account. When I left, there was not $950-some in the account. Not only was I able to purchase 1 set of uniform, I was able to purchase uniform for the varsity, JV, and freshman team, which PHS hasn't had a freshman team in almost 10 years. And so at the end of the day, what happened is that a parent wrote a letter about me and how impressed she was with how I conducted myself. I'm sorry.
Finish it.
And I was told by Mr. Garrazza, the principal there, that I was being fired as per CIF rules for me violating bylaw 510, which is undue influence in recruiting. When he told me the information, I shook his hand and told him thank you for the opportunity because I felt like I tell the girls, me not knowing that rule or not knowing I was breaking the rule does not exclude me from being held accountable. And so as he put it to me, I left out and he told me he would send me an email of the letter and things of this nature. I asked for a letter of recommendation, none of which I've received to this day. So long story short, it didn't sit easy with me. So I investigated a little bit. I called CIF to figure out how was it that I could be investigated, found guilty, and released without even a statement from myself or my players. When I was hired, there was five players on the hiring panel. When I was fired, it was just myself and Mr. Garrazza. I truly believe that I was fired solely for 2 reasons. Our athletic director, who acts as the baseball coach and the athletic director, he and I began to butt heads over things that I felt that were inappropriate in his handling of the athletic department. I haven't once been counseled or sat down and said I was doing the wrong things. I was led to believe that I was going to be returning for my second season. And then, so basically what happened, we had a PTSA meeting. I was informed that the letter was written, and when he told me, he sounded almost proud and happy to receive the letter. He, even for you, Ms. Cooper, I realized you were at the meeting that night. He raved on the job that I was doing. This was a Thursday night. Tuesday morning, I was fired on my way in as I'm coming into practice. I traveled from Linwood, California again. I told you I'm a father of 5, my own high school kids. I would get to PHS every day at 9:30. I didn't leave till about 9:30, so my 2-hour commute back home, by the time I got home, all my children were in bed asleep. Not only this affects me, it affects my children. It affects these young ladies here. So what I'm here to do is ask today that the board reconsider this information, investigate everything that I have said today. I can prove either through text messaging or direct emails from myself, Mr. Barrazas, Assistant Principal Vasquez, who's in charge of athletics, or even Athletic Director Priestley himself. And lastly, I would like for you guys, if nothing else, there's a bill that's in collections in my name through PHS, through an outside source where we order our uniforms. When I ordered the uniforms, I was given okay by not only the athletic director but the principals that bill would be taken care of. I sent that email out to the principal, and what I received back from the AD was that he hopes that I'm able to resolve the situation because PHS will not be paying for it, and that's in collections as we speak today in my name. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Okay, now I have the group, and you have 10 minutes. So you organize yourselves in terms of how you're going to do this.
Good evening, board members. So these are my lovely teammates behind you. We represent the Pasadena High School girls basketball team, and I'm here to speak on behalf of why and what my coach meant to me and us. So, and FYI, our coach and my former coach did not put us up to it. So here's my letter. Good evening, board members. I am here today to speak on the greatest coach of my basketball career. Coach Rodney Nichols is and was an exceptional man who taught me and my fellow teammates standing before you the meaning of hard work. He constantly reminded us that in the world, nothing comes for free. So in order to get to your destination and achieve happiness, you have to work hard. This is only one of the many lectures Coach Nichols would lecture to us about. He taught us important life lessons like if you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. Before Coach Nichols became head coach of the Pasadena High School girls basketball team, we did not have anything. We played in young men's uniforms, our basketballs we used for practices were flat, we did not have money in our account, and most importantly, no one respected us or what we did. This all changed when Coach Nichols became our head coach. We suddenly had women's cut uniforms, warm-up suits, and a basketball backpack that was to be used on game days. That is not all. He required each of his players to be well-mannered on and off the court, but it did not stop there. We also were expected to be well-rounded young ladies who modeled the brand. This brand was a model of who we were as a team and as individuals. So we had to carry ourselves with poise, elegance, and have the mentality of a winner all at the same time. He did not only think of us as his players, but as individuals who would soon run the world one day. You may be asking yourselves, why would he do all of this when all he had to do was teach us how to play basketball? He could have been just like a regular coach us during the season, and then just accepted that. But he decided to go further, and I am thankful for that. Now I see why he did it, to make sure that we would grow up as sound-minded individuals that believed in themselves and what we could do. He taught us that in order for the school and our school body to respect us, we first and foremost had to respect ourselves. Carrying ourselves with respect and dignity would make others reciprocate these same qualities towards us.
I'm going to read my letter. My name is Nari Jigadarian, and I have been attending Pasadena High School since my 9th grade year, and now I'm currently a junior. Of all the years I have been attending PHS, I have never had such a great coach as Coach Rodney Nichols. Since it is my 3rd year, he is also my 3rd coach. As an athlete, it is very frustrating having a different coach every year. When Coach Rodney came into the program, he caused a major impact. He changed the program into something positive. The girls' program has not had new jerseys for many years. The jerseys that we have been using are used from the boys' team. When Coach came into the program, we got brand new jerseys. We got brand new basketballs, brand new jumpsuits, jump ropes, and all different kinds of workout gear. Of all the years I have been playing basketball, I have never had a jumpsuit for any team. The basketballs in the girls' gym were old, worn out, and ripped. Coach Rodney stood up for us and got ASB to donate some basketballs as well as him ordering more brand new ones. The usual typical coach just comes to coach us on the court, but not off. Coach Rodney was not only our coach on the court, but also off. He would always teach us what the world out there is really like. He would always give us lectures about the choices we made, always giving us advice, always trying to make us a better person. The past coaches I had would always just be there for the season, and once the season's over, they would leave for a couple months, then show up sometime in the middle of summer to start practices. But Coach Rodney cares about us. We started our practices and conditioning after our season ended. We got a 2-week break, then back to work. After having a not successful season, coach would look at us and say, any coach would look at us and say they're no good and quit. But our coach sees potential in us, and instead of quitting on us, he continues to help us get better in preparation for next season. Practicing from now showed us that he sees potential in every single one of us. He wants us to get better and be the underdogs for next year. He wants us to have a winning season next year, and we all agree that we will work hard over the summer and achieve that goal. It is possible, and we strive to do that. By having him let go, it's really set us off because it's not fair.
Hello, my name is Aline Jukadarian, and I've been attending Pasadena High School for 3 years now. I'm currently a junior, and I've been in the girls basketball program for all 3 years. Sadly, every year the coaches have been let go from the job. It's clear that no one really cares about our program because if they did, none of this would ever happen. There are a lot of people that say they do care, but one thing I learned through my 3 years is that you can't believe everyone. Nobody respects or appreciates the girls basketball program. I'm not entirely talking about the student body, the administration as well. Not only do they support the boys basketball team 100%, but they also fully commit to and acknowledge them for anything they do. They even bring out the Bulldogs. Yet alone, they not only support them at their home games, but they get buses and go to their away games as well. The first 2 coaches I came across in high school were just like any typical coach that just cares about what goes on in court. The girls program has used the same. The third coach that came along was Coach Rodney Nichols. That's where it all started. Finally, a coach that came that was trying to put a stop to all of this, but he just received a lot of hate. He did so much for our team, only we know. He got us a lot of things, and we did so many bonding activities. We all went and helped decorate the Rose Parade floats. We grew very close as a team and developed a great bond. Even after the turnout of our season, this coach could have easily left and looked for somewhere else, but he didn't because he wanted to see us succeed. After season was over, we received a 2-week break, then got back to work. Our goal was to be the underdogs of our next season. Coach Rodney taught our team so many valuable lessons and pointed out the non-obvious. As mentioned earlier, you can't believe everything you hear. People say whatever they can to get rid of someone they despise, and I'm truly sick and tired of changing coaches. Coach Nichols is an outstanding coach and can never be replaced. No one will ever know what he meant to us. He should be reinstated and return to be our coach. When he told us that he was let go from the varsity head coach position, it shattered all our hearts into millions of pieces. I do not want a new coach. It's going to be my last year, senior year, for crying out loud. It should be the funnest year ever. If none of us cared about this coach being fired, we would never stand here today and go out of our comfort zones and talk in front of you. A clear mistake was made, and the consequences were a lot harsher than they should have ever been. We all really love this coach, and I just hope that you take into consideration and take action in what you hear today. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Christina, and I'm one of the captains of the basketball team. I would like to start off with an analogy. A basketball team is like building a house. It takes planning and it takes preparation. We were beginning to plan our team, and as soon as we had a base, our base is destroyed. And every single year, I've only been here for 1 year, but I've already had 2 coaches in this 1 year. And I don't think it's fair for our seniors to have to deal with a new coach on their last year and have an unsuccessful season once again. Okay. And I believe that Coach Rodney should be reinstated. I don't think it's fair that because of a mistake he made, he should be let go of. When other people make the same mistakes, it doesn't have to be a very harsh consequence.
Well, I have one more thing to say. So, like, there's a lot of discrimination against the girls, like, against basketball. Like, for example, like, over the season when we had our games, we wanted to sell concessions, like, in selling the concessions, and we had, like, a lot of problems with, like, the boys trying to take over that because, like, it's our game, so we want to sell and make money for our team, but everything just goes to the boys, and, like, we really want to stop all this.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank you all for overcoming your comfort level to speak to us this evening. I think you represent your program and your coach very well, and we will have the staff look into this. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you.
And the bill needs to get paid. The bill needs to get paid. It should be paid. Excuse me, now I have, the next one, I have several that are unattached. So I'll go with these first. Okay, so Susan Schwartz with the Algina Library. Yes, you'll have to lose that.
I'll take it a little bit.
Okay,
Thank you. Today I am wearing my Altadena hat as a member of the Altadena Library Alliance. We are looking to, and speaking in regards to item O, I think it is on your agenda, and you have something in your packet with some points, so I won't read through that. I just want to say that the Altadena libraries, at a time when our schools have not got librarians, access to school libraries is therefore very limited for students in the schools located in Altadena. And even when they can access the libraries, they don't have qualified librarians to support them there. The Altadena libraries provide books, programs, homework help, and a lot of other resources for PUSD students. The teen librarian reaches out to the Altadena schools, and so I hope that you will consider, when you discuss this Measure O, supporting the Altadena Alliance Libraries which is planning to put a measure on the ballot to extend a parcel tax in Altadena for the Altadena Library Special District. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sy, are you speaking at the item M4? I guess he is. Mr. Yarborough.
Members of the board and staff, as this year sunsets, this school year sunsets, I'd just like to bring to your attention some personal experiences. The number of students that are leaving PUSD, going into community colleges and four-year universities and colleges, are having to take classes below those that they had received credit for in the PUSD once they take the placement exam. And the numbers are increasing based upon the contacts that I've had. Secondly, students that I tutor have very poor conceptual skills. In other words, they tend to be receiving instruction that causes them to just recall information rather than understand the concepts. And there is apparently little emphasis on the language of a particular subject area, and particularly math. I'm appalled at students that are in pre-calculus, calculus, that have such a poor understanding of math language. And then lastly, I question the professional development program that's in place here in the school district. I'm still waiting for an answer to my questions from 4 years ago. And one is related to the counseling and guidance program for the secondary schools. I was promised by the staff that someone would get back in touch with me. That hasn't happened for the whole school year. And I think it's poor customer service when a staff person tells you that they're going to do something. And Scott is aware that I've raised the question about a board-approved counseling and guidance program for 20 years now. And at the beginning of this year, that still was not one that you could get your hands on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yarborough. Okay, so I did refer this, and okay, so there'll be some follow-up because I thought that you had. Okay, so he has, Dr. McDonald has met with Mr. Yarborough. Okay, all right, so we'll continue to work on these issues, and I appreciate your comments and your dedication to this district.
May I clarify something? Dr. McDonald met with me earlier this year and promised that he was going to call me and get back together with me. I have not heard anything from him since.
All right. Thank you. Dr. Sy, you're speaking of your item?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure of that. All right, now I have, all right, Mr. Brandenburg, 2 minutes, sir.
When I address you, please be aware that I'm referring to a collective known as the PUSD, not any one person in this room. We've waited another year for resolution. Instead of a solution, we've simply ruffled more feathers. We came to this board for resolution. Instead, we received resolutions blocking our appeals for an internal investigation that should have been handled by outside entities. A subordinate, Steve Miller, was the lead investigator in the following requests. A board member, this former superintendent, former coordinator of special education, former school principal, a few teachers, and specialists. All this resulted in nothing. At least that is what the PUSD want the public and press to know. In reality, however, it bought the PUSD time. As we sat and waited for responses, statutes of limitations expired. This allowed the people who were responsible to slink off into the retirement and protect their precious pensions, their reputations, and their eligibility to be hired at a competitive rate. Well, that's the people in administrative roles. The board could determine what it would or wouldn't hear in the appeal process. Then there are the teachers and the others. They're still here, enjoying their status. No repercussions. Everyone gets to enjoy the fruit of destroying a child. My child. The co-conspirators, the bully parents who petitioned and smeared my child's reputation are now strutting around like peacocks at Sierra Madre Upper, and one is celebrated by your union, the UGP. Maybe it's for assisting in the removal of my child with her written smear campaign, which was supported by, big surprise, union negotiator Yolanda Munoz. Here's your award, Monica. Smile to the camera. No one bothered to show empathy or compassion to my child. No one questioned why he may be reacting the way he did. No one thought for a moment that he lacked the communication and coping skills to navigate complex situations, which PUSD didn't bother to help him navigate. No, instead they tried to extinguish his communication. They blamed him for his disability, then tried to make him more compliant. When they couldn't, they tried to remove him, and they engaged in the community to attack our whole family. My child was abused in your schools, kicked by a PUSD teacher's assistant, locked in a storage room, timed out in a bathroom, squirted in the face with a cleaning bottle by a PUSD teacher, forced to pick up garbage as he retched and vomited, secluded from his peers, had his lunch withheld from him, stuck inside a plastic tub, and caged like an animal. Why are you refusing to negotiate with this family in a fiscally responsible way? What do you gain from blocking our desire to leave? 4 years ago, PUSD tried to force it. Is the real problem here that we are in the middle of another special education power trip? Is this just another ploy to try and beat us into submission like they tried to do to our child? The leadership in the special education department took 9 studies, 9 audits that they ignored. The ones that led up to the special ed task force, whose report they bastardized under Michael Jason, then spit out a mess so muddled and confused that it lived up to the low expectations that the UTP has had for our kids. Other parents and myself wasted months of our lives working for free on those recommendations. The PUSD special ed team, I'm almost done. I had 3 minutes. Well, you know what? I've been here 1 time this year. Can I have my other minute? Am I asking for too much? Tom?
Tell for you if I speak.
2 minutes, sir. Sorry.
Mary? I'll fill it out for you right now.
No, actually, it doesn't work that way anymore. All right, thank you, sir.
The leadership in the special education department took 9 studies and threw them out. The PUSD special ed team under the current leadership specifically entraps parents by opening IEPs they have no intention of completing. That's right, they are open not in order to complete them, but to tangle parents up in red tape and to trick the state, the board, and the superintendent with statistical markers that make it appear that there is progress, when in fact there's none. They lock our parents up in a red tape mess.
Mr. Thomas, you have 2 minutes, sir.
It looks like I got 1 minute and 50 seconds.
No, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
First of all, I want that basketball coach retired, and I don't even know him. All right, I am here in support of Tony and Mary tonight for their son Dario. And I've got some questions, some real questions I know you can't answer, but I'll answer them for myself through investigation. First of all, I want to know what an isolation room is. I want to know the legalities of it. I want to know if the people that put them in an isolation room are qualified, and I'll find this out. It sounds to me, without knowing the particular laws on this, in restraint and put in an isolation room, but that's the definition of PC 207. That's kidnapping. What I do want to offer to Tony and Mary tonight are a couple of sections from Title 18, United States Code sections 241, 242, and so on. Conspiracy against rights. And it talks about also section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. And I'll read part of this one. Acts under color of law include acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within the bounds and limits of their lawful authority, but also acts done without and beyond the bounds of lawful authority. Unlawful acts by any official to be done under color of law, the unlawful acts must be done while they're doing their duties, or so they think they are. This definition includes, in addition to law enforcement officials, individuals such as mayors, council persons, judges, nursing homes, and etc. In other words, you folks know what's going on. The teachers acting in an official capacity know what's going on. Section 245 talks about the statute prohibits willful injury, intimidation, or interference, or attempt to do so by force. Taking somebody and throwing them in a room is by force. Any person or class of persons. A disabled child is in a class of persons. I'm going to hand these over to the Brandenburgs. I suggest to them that they get the Department of Justice involved because these local investigations aren't handling it. The Department of Justice, as you know, is the FBI, and they will gladly look at this. And I'm going to make sure they do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Donna Munson. I've lived in Altadena for over 30 years, and I have been pleased with the nature of my neighborhood until recently. Since the opening of Atkinson School several months ago, located at the corner of Lincoln Avenue and Altadena Drive, there has been a weekly daily parade of loud running and disruptive elementary, junior high students walking from the school to the lower Loma Alta Park. On many days, the school brings at least 3 classes of 30 disorderly students marching up and down the street to the park. Sometimes the students run, stumble on the park landscape, punch each other, run into traffic. Overall, their behavior is inconsiderate and disruptive. Their march can take up to half an hour each direction, and multiply that by 3 or more times per day. It is a significant chunk of the middle of the day. I recognize they are students, but I also realize this is my neighborhood. Each one of Addison's administrators and everyone in this room has the expectation when they go home that their home and their neighborhood is quiet. While it is my understanding that the county park is open to all people, I also believe that every tax-paying Altadena resident has a right that their neighborhood is a place of retreat, quietude, and peacefulness. Addison is an institutional operation, however, this is a residential neighborhood. I do not wish to come home to have the feeling as if I am in the hallway of a junior high school. Prior to the school opening, my community and neighborhood was a place of retreat. This is unfair to the residents, neighbors, and tax-paying residents of this community. However, now, in order to accommodate the athletic needs of the students of Avison School, I'm experiencing hours of disruption, noise, and ill behavior generally from mid-morning until late afternoon. This is unfair that I have no right to my neighborhood being quiet just to accommodate these young people. I propose they load the students into a van and drive them to the park. I noticed that there are several other programs. I want to say that I'm an educator. I'm a full-time faculty member at Pasadena City College. I work late in the day, and oftentimes I'm preparing my lessons and I'm correcting papers, and every time the students come, sometimes they have drums, sometimes they've gotten a little bit better. I realize I'm over my time, but it is not fair.
Could you, it would be useful if you could give a copy of your remarks to...
I did.
You gave them to Dr. Abrahamson? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am. You approached Avison about this?
I have spoken to them. I went to visit the school. The problem is that there's also Odyssey, which is a charter school. I never have any problems with those kids. It is 400 kids without athletic facilities. It is not fair. And the pressure that is putting on the residents of the community is not fair. And once they're in the park, it's not a problem. It's transporting to the park. They aggregate it at the corner. They're waiting there. You know, it's noise. I mean, they're junior high school students. I deal with students. I get it.
It's between the school
and getting to the park. And if they had a van or something to transport the kids, I would have no problem.
I'm sure that the President will ask staff to follow up, but I would also encourage you to speak to your Altadena Town Council member.
I have, but oftentimes they have not that much power.
I know, but there was one at the grand opening of that facility.
I went to that, and they said that they were going to use the park. I thought that was fine, but now, what that really means to me as a resident, and I'm always on alarm. Are they coming? Are they getting ready to come again? It's not fair.
I still accept the fact that it's not possible for junior high and high school kids to walk to the park in a way that doesn't disrupt the neighborhood.
I think that, every semester there's a new group.
Education well, but I don't see why that would be an impossible thing to ask. But anyway, thank you. And I know we've heard from Supervisor Antonovich's office on this issue.
I've written him as well. I'm covering all things.
And they contacted us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys should try restraining them.
Okay. And I have Jillian Knight. Now, do you want to speak to the item, or do you want to speak now?
To the item.
To the item? Okay. Thank you. And then I think that's all the cards I have. All right, thank you very much for your comments. We now we have a couple of resolutions. The first resolution is a resolution 2283, remembrance of the Armenian genocide, which is commemorated today. It's just a hobby.
Good evening, President Cooper, board members, Superintendent Gundry. Further resolution on the Armenian genocide remembrance. The Armenian genocide is commemorated on April 24th. The date in 1915 when the Turkish government arrested 200 Armenian leaders in Constantinople, thus beginning the wholesale slaughter and imprisonment of
It's like a Betty Promise, but it's
in blue. They're kind of like not paying attention all the time. All that blue?
Yeah, find the feds, prosecute. What?
Letting them know. I'm going to send them what I wrote. Let them know I'm going to be here at every meeting for the next 6 years. Yeah.
Have you been through that?
No, I stopped for almost a year because we were trying to do it, you know. And I saw what that was. They were just stretching it to the statute of limitations so that they couldn't be held accountable for anything. That doesn't mean I'm not going to stop. It's going to happen.
The sheriff has to get their records.
That you were talking about that too. Last time I saw you were talking about we should have public access.
It's going to happen on the 8th.
You said if somebody's, the way you put it, there's an officer who's done such and such. No, there's a former officer that carries a lot of weight.
You know, if an officer is doing something that's bad,
You made a good point.
you know, we all have the right to know what's in their
I
file.
remember you said that on the street.
Don't even know where the kids' names, none of that stuff. What's relevant? What's relevant is if they've been disciplined, we have the right to know that.
And that would be a precedent.
But what here, Chicago granted that, they agreed with that already in their appellate court. And handed it down. Citizens do have the right to know when an officer.
It's all
about we the people stick together.
Trying here, but thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Local stuff is immune from left and right.
Yeah, it's not political.
It's those who are entrenched in power and those who aren't, and those who are with the establishment and those who are capable of shaking up. Right. And so one or two on here are sympathetic, and that's probably because they're less established than those who've taken whatever course they've taken. In hindsight, maybe they've taken a different course, but they're on this course and they won't change it because that's the course they're on. They're not going to admit they did something wrong, right? So come election time, why don't we on the hell out of their pages and get our signs going and find out who their supporters are. Find out who supports their campaign. That black woman is going to be supported by a lot of the same people.
I don't think she's going to win.
No.
Well, she took the presidency. There was another person that was supposed to give. You know, they take turns being president. She enacted a vote on it. You know, put the screws on everyone and essentially made herself the president. She don't like me.
Well, you know,
that's okay.
My life experience is generally when there's a strong black woman involved that I'm on her side, right? But we need to think differently here because that strong black woman is the establishment, is the administration.
When I see her standing up for the kids,
right?
The whole time.
In her community that have autism, they don't care. You know,
just like when unions
Ron
represent
talking
coal miners
to
in Kentucky,
and he comes out here talking around like you just heard him. Like, you know.
Union men. You know? Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm coming every month now. I'm coming every month, and I'm not going to stop. Coming every month. They're going to turn me out. I'm going to fill out a bunch of cards and I'll just take my paper and hand it to the next person and we'll just keep doing it.
Whoever this clown is right here didn't pay attention the whole time.
Oh no, he knows the whole.
Yeah, he's just reading and he's writing and.
No, he's actually.
He's not doing anything but not paying attention at all the whole time. Look at him reading, writing.
He knows this. This guy.
Yeah.
He knows this story. He knows this name. In so many. These two know that she's my neighbor. These two know this story so many different directions. Actually, he has probably spent more time with my son than all of the people in that room.
I don't want to.
He's actually taking notes about what I see.
Okay, well, good. Hopefully somebody does something.
I was just like, one expression, I guess. How are you about this?
They're okay. You know, it says don't talk to me, they're not supposed to. On the 8th, officers are trying to use community. He's going to talk in a deposition. He's off of his own. Okay. Can't wait to get him by the feds.
Now, they've had all this time, right? I mean, they had
I got them all.
to look at this case. Is there anything left that they possibly haven't looked at, or are they why haven't they judged?
Every bit of the transcripts from the criminal trial.
Would it mean though up into the trial they didn't see anything they could go with?
No, they by protocol they couldn't do anything at all until the criminal trial was over.
Okay.
Even if they seen it from the very first day, they couldn't do anything until the criminal trial was over.
If they thought they had a case prior to the trial, they simply couldn't until the state trial was over. They could have jumped on it though, right? Like, I'm just wondering if this means
they want to cover everything. There's maybe additional charges, or if they thought there weren't any, they have charges.
Are you optimistic?
I haven't talked to them.
It's hard to be optimistic in light of, what we had, right?
Yeah.
Witnesses, camera,
I don't trust anyone.
audio.
Do the right thing anymore.
Why didn't a member of the local law enforcement, like Chief Hughes or someone else, counter Stephen Rubio's testimony?
Well,
he fired him for some reason, imaginably, right?
Did Hughes fire Rubio?
No. But I'm saying Rubio said nothing those guys did, whether we liked what we saw or not, rose to the level of being criminal.
Right.
And then, if anyone in the department felt so, like Hughes fired 3 anyways, right? He could have gone up and countered it. If all the jury got is this guy's opinion, no one countered it.
By law, nobody can discuss an officer's personal life. They're protected by law through the peace officer.
Is that why Rubio's thing got tossed or not? Like he certainly did, right? He said he watched it and he didn't see it. Criminal, right? Has that had great influence on the case?
That's his opinion versus somebody's personnel file. That's different.
Right. But if Hughes felt
he couldn't by law, he didn't say a word. And I'll never forget the fact that he started out as a police cadet explorer at Fullerton, all the way up, corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, captain. That's his culture. I don't care how they show it.
Oh, yeah.
That's his culture. He's not going to say anything because they're still his guys, his brotherhood.
He's just smarter than Sellers and possibly slightly less mean than McKinley, but he's just better at it. He brought us water.
He's just very well educated.
Those guys would have spit on us. He brought us water. That's the fucking difference. But he still had the same views.
One brought us water, one went sailing over the water into the island.
Yeah. So I think I told you, Ramos, took a drink over to me at Joe's. Yeah.
He did?
Yeah, he's fucking hanging at bars all over Florida. But yeah, he said a drink, awkward cocktail waitress comes over, said, "That guy."
What'd you do?
Knocked it over, yelled "fuck you," walked out. Just a little shot glass, but me knocking over a drink, that takes a lot. Come on. But, I mean, it's just like, it's his town now. I'm back. He's not hiding, he's not ashamed, he's not...
Right.
Most people who are acquitted under these circumstances would at least be embarrassed.
Well, they have the cocky attitude in Cincinnati that, hey, jury of 12, so we're not guilty.
Not one of those...
do anything wrong.
Not one of those 12 from Fullerton, by the way, I would remind them.
They're sociopaths if they don't feel any guilt. They're sociopaths.
Well, they are.
I mean, I don't want to say they're psychopaths, say that, but they're sociopaths.
Absolutely.
They have no...
And I should have expected that. I mean, Cincinnati's family throughout the whole case wasn't embarrassed.
None of them were.
My dad was embarrassed if I got a speeding ticket. Like his dad, proud of him, he beat the shit out of somebody. Killed him. I don't know. It's just... if you're a family in any other city where you don't have any of the stuff we have, right? The witnesses, the camera, the audio, the community that stepped up, you got to be feeling pretty fucking hopeless, right? The real battle's Hobart. I mean, if we can't convict, so how do we take it to Sacramento and not have it fall apart?
How does it not fall apart? I'm already Sacramento on that. And I'm using my assembly.
Sharon Court, is she sympathetic?
She has been sympathetic from day one. Privately, she would text me on every holiday just to send condolences, things like that, personal messages.
Yeah. I know that she met with Kathy and stuff.
Not private anymore.
When she was running for assembly, she stayed a little too silent, but that was the politics, that was strategy, whatever.
That's getting into Sacramento, so I know about
Yeah. No.
Not private anymore, Ron.
But
cool.
Same.
So, you know, they have the money. A news reporter asked me that once. He says, how are you going to do this? I got two answers for you. One is Aaron Brock. The other is, they have the money, I have the votes.
I'm going to go talk to Tony B for you, PDX.
This guy comes out, he goes, and he's telling me, my brother.
And he had chickens hiding on his property.
Yeah, so the cops show up. So then you say, you take all the cops on us, and then they detain him. Yes.
They were in a gang, they looked like they were in a gang.
Tony, can you tell us the story about, can you give us a brief little description of what happened?
Well, this has been going on for years. This happened in 2010. Well, it actually started back in 2007. But over a period of about 4 years from when he was in preschool through the second grade, he was being restrained, and my youngest restrained and put into physical restraints.
How old was
he was at the time, it started when he was 4, locked in a bathroom for misbehavior. One of his misbehaviors, he got up and he started dancing when the teacher was playing music, and they told him to sit there. Now, isn't it natural to dance to music? He was dancing, and they said that he was being insubordinate. Insubordinate at 3 years old. And so then he was being punished. And one day I actually went into the school and dropped him off, and I left, went back to pick him up, and found somebody actually holding him down on the ground, on top of him. And I told him to get off of him, and I took him and left. He didn't go back to school for the remainder of that year. But by law, we had to put him back in school, so we did. And it started happening again. And so we had to actually fight to get him a teacher's assistant, right, to work with him. First, they were providing him to the district. The district staff were, again, doing the same thing, pinning him. Then they weren't keeping any records of what was going on, not telling us any of this stuff that was happening was being recorded. They weren't reporting it to us. We were getting secondhand information on a lot of stuff. So they're picking him up, carrying him up a flight of stairs, and sticking him in like a timeout room. And then this went on for the end of that year. He started to fight back even harder, and they became more physical in the responses. And this went on until the second grade, when a bunch of parents in the second grade classroom decided that he needed to leave the school, so they started a petition, circulated a petition, met with the prior superintendent, and tried to petition him out of the school. The school district tried to force us into a non-public placement. which we said absolutely not. You need to do the plan the way that it's set up and let him have an opportunity to learn here. Well, that went on for 4 years, and we finally got to the point now where we're saying there's not going to be any change in this district. We want him to be placed in a non-public school. We're done here. And keeping in mind, this is what they said this is what they wanted to do with him 4 years ago. So now we're saying, all right. So we found a school, negotiated it, started negotiating an agreement, and when they brought us the agreement, it was not the one that we had discussed. It was about 1/3 of what we had discussed. We started taking things out and removing things that they had offered. And I think that this is done because they didn't think we were going to get it out of the school. So, they can promise you the moon if they don't have to really give it to you.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on here. But in the process of going through stuff, we realized that they were doing things to him, locking him in rooms, holding him down, doing these things, and that this was, he was kicked by a teacher's assistant. These are acts of child abuse, and it was never reported. No one ever reported it. None of them reported this. Now, if he kicked the teacher, that was reported, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? But when things were happening to him, not only was it not reported, it wasn't even written down. When we found out these things were happening, they sent this big, huge file of stuff up to the Office of Civil Rights to combat what we were saying. Well, we found that they had lied in the documents, they had trimmed documents, and we got the actual documents before they trimmed them, compared them, and went, But the way that the Office of Civil Rights is set up, you get 6 months to make an appeal, and if you don't appeal it, you don't have an argument anymore. So they held on to all these documents for more than 6 months. I don't think they thought we'd ever know. But we did. Fine tooth comb, and more and more we go through them, and more we find discrepancies, falsified documents. But you can't go, can't go after them. We can only share them. This is what happened. There's no statute of limitations to the truth.
Right.
There may be statute of limitations to us being able to sue them, but what happened? Tell everybody. Every family that has a child in this district thinks long and hard about whether they want to trust this school district with their kids. Especially if their kids are autistic, or if their children have even the slightest learning disability. Fair chance.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Very much. I had to battle them years ago. They're my special ed kids, and they tend to speak everything out. I had to go before them because they would rather call the police on my child because he was being bullied, and if you don't leave me alone, I'll shoot you. So they got a coach to call the police. And when I tried to talk to the principal, I'm like, what are you doing with the police? You didn't even talk to his teacher. And it ended up before he had to go on probation, went before a judge, but fortunately I was able to get the judge to put an edict on the school at the time. So
that's what they do. If the child says something to the child in the school district, they're quick. But when it's happening with children,
oh yeah. No, I know, because I battled them for years, and now I sit on the personnel commission here, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. We're behind you.
Thank you.
Really, okay?
People come up to us, people that in our neighborhood, they're like, we wish we could do what you do, and we're afraid. They're like, people are afraid. And then some people like this lady, she's like, I'm willing to fight, but there's not so much that I can
Our hands are tied.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but see, they usually film these meetings. They turned everything on. They filmed us and.
I need to give them a routing number.
Yeah, they're stopping the film information about this case. They don't want this going on. Because I told them, either we solve this, we solve this. We don't have, right now we've got 2 hearing dates set up. That's just going to end up being lots and lots of money. No one's going to be happy. We need to sit down, solve the problem, and then we need to go. And because if we do it in the hearing and it doesn't work out to what we're looking for, we're still going to be down here raising hell. And I'm teaching people every day. We're writing stuff up, teaching other parents how to file compliance complaints. It's very simple. And a compliance complaint doesn't really do much for a family, but it's hell for the district to have to deal with. So you fill out a complaint when they're not following the special education rules. Fill out a compliance complaint, takes about 15 minutes, but it causes them about 50 hours of headache.
And where do we get these compliance complaints?
To the state. We're going to start showing people how to, like step by step. We'll put it up, and keep an eye on the things that we put up. We're always throwing stuff out there like this. We put all the letters we write, everything out there, so people can see like what we've done, learn from our mistakes. We make lots.
Where do you post these?
On Google, like a Google blog.
How do we find it?
I'll have you send it to you.
How do these people find it right now?
It's BTHEE, Brandenburgs, BRANDENBURGS, Blogspot. If you type that in, Brandenburgs, Sierra Madre, it'll come up.
All right, thank you. Got that PDX? What's the website again? Brandenburgs?
Oh, the Brandenburgs. It's THEE Brandenburgs.
Hello.
Thank you.
I watched everything about your son on the news, and it was just absolutely horrible. I'm terribly sorry that happened in a city that I went to school at. And it's just like, you got to be kidding me. In Fullerton, of all places. And it's disgusting. Yeah. Yeah, it's disgusting what goes on. So,
we're not done.
my heart pours out to
It's
you.
not over.
My heart's pouring out to Tony. And it's
Trying not to
whatever
cry.
I can do. And if I help him, I'm helping you, and vice versa.
You are. Yeah, because we're close and it's what we need to do and protect our kids.
Exactly.
Protect you. Our children, right? Protect our children. Yeah. Absolutely. And I tell this to people and they're good friends, and they post pictures of the grandkids now, and there's a dad that he has a young boy, and the first thing I think of was the days of Kelly and I, doing this and that together, being my firstborn, where I taught him to fish as just a little tiny guy, and we did all kinds of things, right? And I keep thinking to myself, and I don't really express it to him always, but it's like, this child could grow up and end up looking exactly like Kelly one day, because police officers may do something to him. We, the people, have to do something to change that. We have to change that.
The police are just acting first and getting facts
They're
after the fact.
They're so well protected by the Peace Officer Bill of Rights. I'm already working with Sacramento to change that. Because we, the people, have the absolute right to know if a police officer is misbehaving on the job. We have an absolute right to know that. In Chicago, appellate court just upheld that and said, you know what, the people do have a right to know. Because police officers tried to hide their information, keep their personal records out of court. The appellate court goes, no. The people have a right to know when he's messing up. Let them do it in court. And that's what we're going to do here together.
It might be under Blogspot. It's like
and I don't want to know their addresses. I don't know their kids' names. I want to know nothing about that. I want to know if they're going to screw up. Fullerton, the chief said this, that they changed their hiring practices. For 20 years, they have not hired a police officer from the academy. All lateral transfers. So, why does an officer leave his department?
Exactly.
Same reason that administrators do here.
Let's just say there's a very small percentage that just moves to move.
That's what I was trying to say. That's when they shut me down. I'm going to put the whole statement up tomorrow morning.
Right. That I can understand.
But the rest of
same
90-95% or even more.
All those people who went after me started showing all the evidence. They all started
Fullerton, we'll hire them. Look at Cincinnati, what's going on?
Six
Yeah.
people.
When McKinley got the phone call from the commander at the LAPD, Pat, because McKinley came from LAPD, you got to do me a favor here, buddy. Sure, we'll hire him. Yeah. So, that's what we got to fix.
Raise his eyebrows.
Raise his eyebrows. Good to meet all of you, really. You too. Have you seen me on TV? I thought so. You know, it's you know you make a difference, or maybe you make a difference. And I don't know if I was saying here. First of all, stuff. Do my own name. Every screen you look at, you hear all that page. And this just in you Google, I don't know, cars, you'll come up with 20 or 30 car dealers or something. So it's 20 or 30 items for the page. I have 37 pages. Or 20 or 30 people, 37 pages. That's getting in your ass. Excuse me. That's it. Yeah, so civil rights.
This one. All right, that was inLeague Press's live stream of this event. God, I don't know, it just makes me so upset. I don't even know where to begin. It's like, if anybody has any suggestions, aside from filling out those complaints.
Either overly tall or something.
Alright, let me find Freeway for a little outro. No.
Because we're not such a good winning streak, huh?
I was wondering what was going on with that, but you know,
No,
I don't
but like,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's not going to have score kids, but we can exploit it, right? I mean, we can exploit it.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that would work, buddy boy?
No, I think this kid he's back in.
Like, give us an outro. Let's get out of here.
All right, thank you guys for tuning in. This was Pasadena Unified School District. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be on the
shit!
screen.
Whoa, God!
Oh, wow.
You didn't see that.
Wow.
You didn't see that.
Oh well, I guess I'm screwed now.
Too late now.
Tune in again. We're gonna have this mirrored on YouTube. We're gonna have photos up. And again, just stay tuned to inLeague Press for all the news, all the recent, anything happens, any developments and anything. We'll keep you all posted. Yeah. You wanna say something? Say goodbye.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
Is there any place we could buy adolescent stuff that directly donates to you?
Best thing to do with shirts and stuff is through Machete. Come at the shows.
All right, when's the next show?
We're very Californian that way.
I've listened to you since I was playing.
Don't be all fanboy now.
Thanks.
All right. Well, stay tuned, guys.
All right.
And we'll also subscribe to anybody else that is restreaming this. Thank you guys for restreaming, and we love you guys.